Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for your subscription, and I hope with this slight decrease in the lockdown measures, please take care as suggested by our government, by our authorities, to still continue distancing ourselves. Let's not crowd round in certain places and be civically alert to what is happening around us. Good day to all of you. Today I'm going to touch on question number 3 of the class 12 English core exams, part B. I've already done part A, which you can see in the link below. This is part B, and this is what is called invitation and their replies. To keep matters very simple, we'll use what is called the formal letter format for formal invitations, which generally, so far in the last 10 to 12 years, what I have observed, the invitation given is very formal, although we must not leave the informal invitation also. But generally, so far, that what I have seen in my experience, we always get the formal invitations. And what is this formal invitation? Asking any dignitary or a person or a socially active person to come and be the guest of honor or the guest of the day or the chief guest for a certain school function. That is basically what it covers. However, we shall not leave any stone unturned and continue and practicing all the probabilities that could be in the exam. But the largest or the most well questioned is invitation for a formal invitation rather. Let's look at this page, and on this page you'll see I've tried my best to draw. Of course, you have the left margin, top margin, and below that we have the keeping in view of the LHS rule, which makes matters very simple, especially for the writing section. Okay, all whatever I write is on the LHS, just like the rule of the road. So to make matters simple, because we don't want to complicate things. So let us be very simple, because we have other subjects to score, maths and science and commerce and whatnot. So to keep matters very simple, we'll just follow this simple rule, the LHS rule. So we'll write everything on the LHS as you observe here. We have the sender's complete address. Mark the word complete. I'll come to this later on. Followed by the date, same MMTTY. The receiver's name and complete address, subject, followed by the salutation. Now here, you can deviate slightly if you want. The subject has two places. One is just above the formal salutation, and it can be also just below the formal salutation, that it comes just above the first paragraph. So either way, both are correct. Don't confuse yourself, please, but it should be there. It's a very important part of the whole setup. So please be careful. Then we have what is called the, of course, the 3 W's that I mentioned earlier in my Ray's Golden Rules. I'll send a link, I'll add a link below for you to follow. Then you have the information that is in detail, whatever you want, and the conclusion and the ending. In this case of an invitation, here we'll give the 3 W's, what you are being invited for, what is the occasion, and when and where. The second paragraph, you don't need to add a third paragraph. The second paragraph can contain certain requests. For example, you could request the person or ask for information whether the person who's been invited is using or will use his or her own conveyance. Otherwise, the school or you will send an appropriate mode of transportation. It could be a car, it could be a van, it could be an airplane, whichever, or helicopter, whatever you think feasible, which is possible. But it should be a feasibility. And the date and time for pickup. So all this can be mentioned in the second. In the first paragraph, you'll give, of course, you'll give the name, event, etc., etc., and please mention the duration of the program. For example, in the first paragraph, you could invite the person and say, well, you're also invited to have dinner or lunch with the principal and staff members after the function. And in the next paragraph, the second paragraph, you can ask, since you're coming over for lunch or for dinner, are you, your choice of meal, would it be inclusive of vegetarian and, non-vegetarian or whatever? So all these things need to be specified because the number of points that you can give here will give you good marks. Again, this is just 4 marks and the word length is 50 words. Now let's coming back to the address here. What do you mean by the complete address? It's not too difficult to understand. The complete address means the name of the building, the number of the flat or the house. Generally, we live in societies, big, huge buildings with 20 floors or maybe 10 floors or 5 floors, whatever it could be. And a housing society has many blocks. This is the concept of living in metropolitan cities. And so you mentioned the block number, let's say block A, B, C, or D, or block 1, 2, or 3. Then the flat number, you don't have to mention the floor because it is acceptable. When I write 405, for example, it means on the 4th floor. The 5th flat on the 4th floor. That's very simple. So nothing to. So basically, your address should have this. Of course, the sender's address would be the flat number, that is 405, comma, something like this, followed by, let's say, Sunshine Apartments, and maybe 35 Gandhi Marg, maybe. It's very common. Or civil lines. Now, civil lines is a very common address for majority of the cities. So please remember, if you can't create something, just write 405 civil lines and maybe Bhagalpur or Patna or Delhi or Mumbai, whichever. And please do not forget to mention the pin code. Now the question in your mind is, okay, supposing I don't know the pin code of a place. So be creative. A pin code consists of 6 digits. So write any 6-digit number not beginning with 0. Very simple. Because in the board exams, it is not checked whether the pin code that you have given is correct or wrong. But the concept is whether you have written the pin code or not. So don't miss out the pin code. And please remember what you understand, or you should understand, okay, what do I mean by complete address. Because, for example, I'm writing a letter to the editor of a magazine. What I have seen in my years of experience, okay, what you do is, the children so far, what they write is, the editor, Times of India, Delhi. Question yourself, is that a complete address? For me, it's not a complete address. So don't give the invigilators a chance to deduct marks. So what should be the complete address? The editor, Times of India, maybe 35 or 4, or could be 420 Sadhguru Road or Shivaji Marg. Anyway, these are very common names, and we have lots of roads named named after them. All the great personalities, Mahatma Gandhi Road, maybe, or maybe whichever. So, or the Shiv Temple Road. You have so many addresses in our. So that. Coming back to smaller towns and cities, the complete address has the name of the building or a cottage or the house, then it has the number of the house, and it has the route. Very simple. For example, again, just write down civil lines. For example, it could be 45 Nook or Gharonda is a beautiful name in Hindi. 45 Gharonda, comma Gharonda. When you come to the next line, write down MG Road or Shiv Shankar Road or Marg, whichever, Veer Savarkar Marg or whatever, and write down Mumbai and give the pin code. Generally, pin codes of Mumbai begin with 400, and you have every state. And we do need to go into that. This is how I would write an invitation. Now, what you see on the screen is a very small, is an example of an invitation, a formal invitation from a school to the district magistrate of the city. On top, you'll find the sender's the sender's address, the date in the MMDDYY format, the name of the person to whom you're sending, of course, the complete address. Circuit house in all cities don't have a number, but the road is mentioned. And the subject. Now here you notice I've not mentioned dear. Why I suggest to students to do that? Because sir or madam itself is a word of respect. Dear is a very informal sort of address. So in formal letters, my suggestion is please do not use dear, because that adds a little bit of informality which we cannot afford to do when we're writing a formal invitation. If you look at the first paragraph, of course you can formulate this as and how you want. You can change the language, but the main concept is very clear. You have the day date, you have the time, and then you have an invitation for dinner. In the second paragraph, a bit of good words and of course, here in this letter I have not mentioned what they would like to have, but that can be added on. So this is a bare minimum letter. The language, if you can change, please do change. Do not try and copy this. Be innovative, but get the concept clear. This is only for clarification of concept. Now here, this is basically that. Then we go to the reply. Of course, this is a reply, a letter of reply. Acceptance. And the first letter generally, if you look at this first paragraph, in the first paragraph, in the reply, the person try and follow this. Congratulate the person who's invited you, and then thank them for the invitation. The first, congratulations. Second, thank you, and mention the day, date, and time, the three W's as mentioned. I've off and on been mentioning this. And then in the second paragraph, you will either refuse or accept as in this paragraph. So you can just go through this. Basic structure is here, and see the last line of the second paragraph. I am a vegetarian, do not consume even eggs. Please make appropriate arrangements for dinner. So that is a thing. And we'll be there at 7:30 p.m. on the set day and date. I've accepted that. I don't have to repeat the day and date again. So just get the main idea. That's all that you have to do. And the rest is going to be easy. Now we're going to discuss the letter of refusal to an invitation. The format is, as I have discussed earlier, we have the sender's address, the date, followed by the receiver's name and address. Then we have, here I've added one thing, the reference. That is not mandatory, but if you want, you can still add it. It adds more, sort of a more to your letter. But if you don't remember to write it, which most of us don't, even then it is acceptable. After that, we have the subject, then we have the salutation. Here, if you look at the first paragraph, all the three W's are mentioned here. In the second paragraph, I have mentioned A very simple sentence. You look at the underlying part of the letter. Unable and due to an unavoidable prior engagement. It simplifies things and makes it very clear because in your letter you'll be asked to mention a specific reason. I am giving a specific reason here. And what is the reason? Reason and a prior engagement. And the rest follows, signed and by whoever I'm writing this letter to. In this case, this is a letter addressed to a retired teacher to come and attend the Teachers' Day function. So, hence I've written here at the bottom, retired teacher. I hope this video was very informative. What you need to do is to practice this on a regular basis. Maybe once a week or maybe once in 2 weeks. But once a week is a beautiful, wonderful way because writing section must be practiced. Thank you.